Seltzer Time, meatballs!
So glad you asked. Oh, fuck me.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'll add a sound effect.
No, I'm good. Let's just crack. I already opened a can, but it's opened up again. What's up, you guys? It's your boy Ricky. Welcome back to another episode of the Seltzer Time podcast. It's your boy Ricky, aka Dick Chuck, aka the man behind the can. It's Seltzer Time. Here is always the conversation accomplice, the man with the hunch about Worcester, Travis.
What is cracking, Fizzle Fiends? Welcome back to the Seltzer Time podcast. I'm going to take the blame for that awful intro because Ricky nailed it the first time, but you won't know because I didn't hit the goddamn record button like an idiot.
That's so funny.
Good enough podcast rolls on. So welcome back to the Seltzer Time podcast. And as always, we are so glad you were with us. This week, we are talking to Monika and Oghomwen from the Massachusetts Science Policy Network, or MASPN. We're going to talk about why voting matters and what voting even does. But before we get there, we have to do this. Hey, Ricky, how was your week?
What's up? My week was good and it was long. I moved.
Yeah, you did. You moved outside.
That took most of my time up all week. I'm currently sitting outside at my parents' house because I have to go get internet at my new place when I leave here. So I'm outside because it's actually like pretty shitty outside. It's very hot.
Yeah, we're apparently the start of a heat wave here in the city.
Yeah,
Go Worcester.
Been a morning, kid. Been a morning.
I feel you.
But yeah, other than that, I've just been hanging out. There's been a lot of hockey on, which I've been really into. Toronto lost again, which was a beautiful thing to watch yesterday, or to hear about. I didn't watch it. I fell asleep. But I watched them come back the other night, and that was pretty miserable. So I was glad when I looked at Twitter and they had lost. It was beautiful.
Awesome.
The Bruins have sucked, but whatever. They're in the playoffs tomorrow. Well, when you guys hear this, they'll start tonight. So we'll see what kind of anger that brings out in me. The Celtics have looked great. And the Red Sox are still playing baseball, to my very shocking belief.
My dad is still doing fantasy baseball, but he said his entire team hasn't been playing for a week. So, yeah, it sounds miserable. My week has been good.
How's your week going?
It's going all right. Worked a bunch last week. I had kind of like an off week. Didn't get as much done as I wanted to. This quarantine life, I have my good weeks and my bad weeks. And it feels like it's emphasizing my bipolarness, I guess, or like manic depression is probably a better description, where it's amplifying what little I experience, where I go on these highs where I want to create everything, and then I go on these lows where I want to sit and consume everything. So, but yeah, I mean, shit, that's where we're at. But like Ricky said, we're kind of busy this week. Oh, real quick. How much fun was having Evan on last week?
Oh, having Evan on was great. Yeah, I mean, again, it was so cool to talk to somebody who kind of works in the world that I am obsessed with, but also in the part of the music industry that gets pretty much no love. So yeah, it was really, really, really interesting. I mean, again, his podcast is one of my favorite ones to listen to. I'm just going to adjust. There we go.
For our video viewers, get used to this because there's some beautiful views of Ricky in this episode.
Yeah, I move a lot. I've been having a morning.
I'm a big fan of the grass coming up in the bottom of the shot. It's such an adorable effect.
Yeah, it's
like
very
Easter
much like
Ricky.
I feel very much like who's that? Steve Irwin. I'm kind of like a Steve Irwin type right now.
Oh, we're on safari with Seltzer Time.
Okay, and here we have the wild, no flavor, classic, original seltzer in the grass. and I'm over here. I can't really do an accent to save my life. And this kind of hurts trying to talk while laying like this and holding this up. But you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, talking to Evan was really great. Evan was awesome. Everybody should go listen to his podcast and go listen to all the bands that he's worked for and worked with. Shout out to all the homies in Worcester that kind of gave Evan his start, I guess you could say. And he still has a lot of love for them, and we can't wait to be in the same city. Hopefully I won't ever talk like this.
It goes back and forth from Australian to British, and I love it.
I can't do foreign accents to save my life, but you know what? Whatever. Maybe I could be a voice actor after today.
Oh my God, I want to be a voice actor. I want to do anyway. Yeah, I feel you. I can't wait to actually meet Evan in person and cheers a cup of Anchorhead coffee at New Tradition together.
Yeah.
All right.
Same.
We're going to kick in, like we said off the top, Ricky is no time this week. So we're going to dig right into this interview. So take it away, us.
Should I crack my salsa now? Should I just wait?
Let's do it. You ready? Let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. There you go.
That's very lime, delicious. This week on the show, we have Monika and Oghomwen from the Massachusetts Science Policy Network, better known as MASPN. And we're here to talk about why you should vote. Thanks for joining us, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Hey.
How badly did I? So we had a whole little discussion about how I was going to try to not butcher their names. And then how did I do? Was it okay, or can you correct me?
I'm going to give you like a 5. It's Monika.
Wait, a 5 out of a 10 or a 5 out of a 5?
5 out of 10.
I think I'll give you a 3, just to be very. A 3 out
Appreciate
of
it. So maybe you should do the introductions yourself.
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Monika, and I'm a PhD student at UMass Medical School, and I am involved with the Massachusetts Science Policy Network, which is an affiliate of the National Science Policy Network. We're not really affiliated with any specific institution in Worcester, but we have people from UMass Medical School and WPI, and the goal of our group is to put together mostly early career scientists, but pretty much anybody that's interested in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine, and people who want to put that together with policy, science communication, and then advocacy work, which is what one of our projects is right about now. So I'll let Oghomwen take it now.
Well said. Well, my name is Oghomwen, and I am an MD PhD candidate at UMass and also part of MASPN. I would just call it MASPN because it's kind of like a sweet way to say it. So
Yeah.
I think Monika really did a good number on explaining what MASPN is, and our goal at this moment is to try to increase voter registration here in Worcester. Thanks.
Nice.
Awesome. So they reached out to us because they've been working on this project for what feels like a couple months now. I mean, you've obviously been with the organization for a lot longer than that, but this specific...
This
No?
is actually no.
Really?
No. So there's been other stuff that's been going on, like that's like not so public. But then this is like, I mean, okay, do you want me to do the brainchild story, or do you want to do it?
Okay, I can do the brainchild story.
Yeah,
I have
go for it.
technology for this. So you know, like how I'm glad we can say anything on this podcast. So you know how when you think about a one night stand, you're like, that's just a one night stand. Nothing's gonna happen. No, our one night stand right now, it's like we're having kids and grandchildren and great grandchildren. So it's a one night blurb of like, hey Monika, we need to do something about what's going on. Like we need to get young folks in Worcester involved. I feel that even though we're educated and we're trying to get advanced degrees, I just feel that we're not well informed about what's going on in the local districts in Worcester or just locally. And we went on this one night rant. No, I wouldn't really call it a rant, like conversation. It was just heated. And then we went from like small 2 sentences to like 4 paragraphs of text messages going back and back and back and back. And then the next day Monica's like, we're doing it. I was like, yes, we're doing it. And now we're here. So
Okay. Hell yeah. Let's talk.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, I literally went home because, like, I hurt my back, and then, like, I was, like, literally sitting on my, like, childhood bedroom floor, just, like, furiously texting her. I was like, we're gonna do stuff about voting. I don't know. And so, like, yeah, because I'd already been looking into it in terms of just, like, learning more about voter information in general, and, like, people have been posting infographic after infographic after infographic made, all on Canva. Shout out to Canva, about, like, about everything, right? Like, everything that everyone's been talking about with all sorts of different social justice issues, like all of that. And then in addition to the election and also COVID. And, you just keep getting inundated with that information, but then it's like, what do you do beyond Instagram? Do you just keep sharing stuff, or do you actually, like, go out and do something? And everyone's conflicted right now because of COVID, right? Like, they don't want to be out and about doing too much, like all of the traditional voter registration activities, like tabling, having events, having all of these sort of collaborative coalitions of organizations coming together to do this stuff is, like, completely obliterated because of the pandemic. And so we decided that, rather than us trying to, like, get out the vote in the traditional way, there's, like, a whole sort of unknown element of voting where it's like, okay, I register now what do I do? Because that's, that's, like, honestly a black box, and it's also very district dependent.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, as far back as I can remember, like, I mean, I was a little too young for, like, the elections in the 90s, but once we hit the 2000s, it was like vote or die. Like, everybody wanted you to register to vote and to go out and vote, but there wasn't, like, a whole lot of, like, what exactly are we going to vote for? Like, you know what I mean? It kind of, like, stopped at that, even up until now, where it's like, you got to go register to vote. Like, I registered to vote at a Foo Fighters concert at the DCU Center. Like, 2 months after I turned 18.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, it was great. But it was like, I still wasn't super, like, educated on what that process actually, entailed. It was just, okay, there, I registered. And then I voted, like, kind of shortly after that, I think. But there wasn't a whole lot of, like, breakdown as to what the impact is on, like, a local level. It was mostly just like, you got to go vote for the president, so go do that.
All right. So before we dig into that, like, so I'm super curious then, have you been with Maspin for a while, or did Maspin's kind of, like, ethics align with what you two were discussing and figuring out how to do? Like, how did that come together?
So, like, okay, so there is, like, this whole other thing that, like, we as a group had been working on in terms of just, like, trying to learn more about science policy. Because, like, you want to talk about, like, another black box that's just, like, nobody knows what that means. Like, you talk about science policy and they're like, oh, so you want to be a politician? It's like, no, sort of, I don't know. So it's like, there's a lot of different careers with science policy. Like, you can be an activist full-time. You could be a professor that then is, like, associated with, like, a professional organization that sits on some steering committee that then goes to DC, like, I don't know, like, once a year, and then wants to talk about things that are specific to your professional organization that, like, focuses on molecular biology or something. It can be, or you go work for the government, you go work for the FDA, you go work for an agency like Department of Public Health. Like, there's, like, a million careers, honestly. I don't think I even know. I don't know if I'm ever going to know all of them. And so it was, like, a couple of us at UMass Medical School, a couple of us at WPI were coming together to work on different things. And then we also then learned about this thing called the National Science Policy Network. We were trying to figure out what would be the benefit of us being affiliated with them, because they have chapters at different schools. And so we were kind of like, you know what? We don't really think this is going to work the way we'd like it to, because we're not one school. We already have two schools involved with the stuff that we're trying to learn about. So would it be okay if our chapter, if we were to make one, was unaffiliated and basically focused more on our community, but then also focused on creating, like, an interinstitutional coalition of early career scientists, and then like maybe whoever else wants to be involved. And like the people who started the National Science Policy Network are basically like, they're probably, I think they're like our age, maybe like 35 tops. Like, I don't even think they're that old, honestly. One of them was a PhD student at UC Riverside in California. The other one, I think, is currently a PhD student right now. And I don't even know when they co-founded it, but they're very young. And they started this entire network. There's like at least 30 something chapters. It's like the NFL. There's like 30 something chapters across the country.
A lot of sports references. I like it.
Yeah. Lots of sports references. I don't even watch sports anymore.
My language.
And so like, there's like, and there's regions. So we have like our, like our little, so there's the Eastern, Southern, Central, and then Western hub. So we're technically in the Eastern hub. And then what we decided to do with our chapter is be like, okay, we're gonna try to get more communication amongst the science policy groups in Massachusetts, because there's actually quite a few of them. So there's ones at MIT, Harvard, Brandeis, I think, and then UMass Amherst is what we know of so far. I'm sure there's more. Some of them are NSPN chapters, some of them aren't, and a lot of them focus on different things. And then in the context of our group, because of the stuff that we were focusing on was more state level, we sort of decided that, you know what, maybe we can be the people that think more about state level things and do more community work. And then we can just like at least let the other groups in the state know, like, hey, we're doing this thing. Do you want to do it with us? And so we're kind of just like seeing how it goes. Like, this is like our first year.
That's awesome.
We officially became a chapter in April.
Okay.
And then like everything, like I basically like figured out, we were like, okay, like let's just try and get this social media going. So we really haven't been active until recently. And I think it's because it's taken a while for us to figure out like, what are we going to do differently that warrants us to have this sort of like statewide presence if we're going to have it. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It could be great. It could be nothing. I don't, I'm
just a very optimistic person. I'm hoping that it's
just how these things go, but we're kind of like open to seeing who's interested. And I think what's funny is that I reached out to some people like you guys, for example, right? Like you're interested, and then like Worcester Caribbean, like I'm just like sliding into everyone's DMs and being like,
how you do it. That's how it's done.
Do you want to do some policy stuff? And like people seem to be into it, which is like super surprising to me because like it's not easy to say quickly, but I don't know. People seem at least initially interested, which is good.
It's important. It's important to like get that kind of information out there, I think.
Yeah.
I agree. Monica's like, I just keep sliding to people's DMs, but then I get like CC'd on them or like, my phone just keeps buzzing like, oh, like Monika just added you to a group and you've sent a message to someone and then I'm just on my phone holding and waiting for them to reply. Like last time she sent it to like Seltzer Time, I think I just kept refreshing my phone every time and into like, all right, someone has to answer. And then we got Ricky answered and then we like had a Zoom call. I was like, this is great because at first it's like just when you put the information together, just like Monika said, and you're trying to get it out, it's like just getting it out there and hoping that someone is interested and saying like, yeah, this is something that's also important to us. This is the kind of information that we want. And this is like everyone's work. Like we need to do something about it and just showing that first interest. So once you get the first reply, it's great. And then from there you get the ball rolling. And then you have your podcast.
It's also like it's also like online dating. That's also what it's like.
Exactly.
Okay, I feel that.
Just like keep sending messages, and then I don't know, maybe somebody will respond.
Somebody's
Hopefully
like,
they're not a bot.
Maybe they go on your Instagram profile and scroll through to see who you're about. I'm like, who is this person? I don't even know them. Or like, oh yeah, okay, they're normal. Let's send them a message.
Yeah.
Guilty of that. Like you get enough messages, I don't want to respond to. But yeah, so that's fascinating. That's fascinating that you guys just you found something you were both passionate about, figured out how to put it to work. You said you haven't posted in a while, but you said you also got certification in April. So that's 4 months. So that's pretty rad. Like to just get your shit together and then come back in 4 months to try to actually put some stuff into action. That's mad respect. Nothing but
Thank
respect.
you. I don't know. We're seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
That's what Seltzer Time is. I mean, Ricky and I are still seeing how this thing will turn out.
I mean, I feel like you guys are doing pretty well. So,
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't fishing for a compliment. It was more to be like
It's a compliment now.
no, tell me more about how great we are.
It's a welcoming circle. It's okay.
No, but I mean, like fixing the ship while you're flying it and figuring out where the hell it's going as you're trying to take off. Like, I'm a big fan of that because if you overthink something, you can kill the idea before you even try it. And like, I don't know, I'm a learn by doing kind of person. So it kind of feels like you two are similar.
Yeah, you also just have to like hit hard with content. Like you have to have like a idea and then just like get it out there. And if people respond to it, great. If they don't, I don't know, figure it out later.
I love the way you guys set up like all the like assets and stuff that you guys sent over to us. Everything's, there's not too much information on any graphic. Everything's very digestible, which I think is huge for right now. Are you all right? Did you grab your phone?
Like, no, it was not on my computer, and it's like the softest thing. So like for some reason the back just laid it out, like just like went down, and
I felt like we like went on like a roller coaster.
Right?
well, I'm on a roller coaster. I'm at Six Flags, social distancing.
They have nice artwork at Six Flags.
Whenever we usually record, I usually use the iPad, but I forgot to bring that with me today. But whenever I do, the cats always knock it over. So usually once an episode, my screen just goes like that.
Okay.
It just goes straight up.
So I feel really great that happened. I've taken care of you, Ricky. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, now that he's outside, which we're never going to address. We're never going to address why he's there. This is where he is now. So, all right. So you guys are having your first town hall with the Caribbean Festival. I should have wrote this down. That is this week?
Yeah, so it's Worcester Caribbean American Carnival Association, or WCACA. It is on Thursday, August 13th at 6. You can find the information on their Instagram. So that's Worcester Carib, or ours, which is MASCI Paul Network. So it's like Sci Paul Network with MA in front of it. And so they're not releasing the Zoom information until Thursday because they don't want to be Zoom bombed, which is totally fair. And so what that discussion will have is, so Oghomwen and I will be there. She will be moderating. I'll be on the panel. And then there's going to be a couple of people from the sort of like Worcester community. And there's also going to be a couple of Worcester city councilors as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
The idea behind that event is more specifically to talk about it's called Understanding a Community Conversation, Understanding Local Politics. Mm-hmm. And I think the idea behind it is to not only talk about voting, but talking about how it can be important and why it comes up in the context of your city. So unfortunately, there's no municipal election. So that's a local election this year for Worcester. That they happen on odd years every 2 years. So the next one will be in 2021. But there are still a lot of, statewide officials that you can vote for in the election, not only in the election on November 3rd, but then also in the primary, which is on September 1st. So the primary is to be able to decide, which nominee you want from whatever party is on the ballot. So in terms of, there's a Republican primary, there's a Democratic primary. In other districts, there's Green Rainbow candidates. There's no Libertarian candidates running for office this year. And so in a lot of cases, there are incumbents, so people who are already in office who are running unopposed. But there are still some races for for primary candidates. I think in the Republican primary, there's a couple of them. And then I think in the Democratic primary, maybe outside of Worcester, there are some. But really, even the way we set up our voter information guide, where, like all of our resources are available if you just click our linktr link that we have in all of our social media. So if you want to like read up on this later, you can. But the whole point of what we're putting out is to be able to find information, even on the person that's been serving in your district for like 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. Because if you look at things that they've done, like bills that they've co-sponsored or projects that they've been affiliated with, or if they have a campaign website, looking at their campaign website, you can at least familiarize yourself with like what they're doing and then decide if you like it or not. Because you never know, somebody might run against them in the future, or they might step down and then someone else is taking their place or trying to take their place. And so the primary actually is, if there's an opposing, like a opponent, that's actually a situation where you want to vote more, which is ironic because I tend to not vote in primaries. I think this is like maybe the second one that I will be voting in myself. And then, and I think that's true for a lot of people that don't tend to vote and stuff like that. And then for Thursday, that's something that we're going to be talking about, but also specifically more in relation to Worcester, to the city, and then how that can translate to something like a local election next year. Because based on the statistics that the Worcester Regional Research Bureau, which is like a nonpartisan policy research bureau in Worcester, they have shown that based on the 2019 and 2017 local election results, people don't turn out for those elections in the same numbers that they do for the midterms that are on even years. So like 2016 presidential, 2018 governor, senator election, there's a lot more people showing up for those elections. And then in 2017 and 2019, it's like less than 35% of those voters turn out. So it's like, I think it was like 32 for 2019 and 25% for 2017. So you get turnout, but it just doesn't show up locally, which in terms of your day-to-day kind of matters more.
Yeah.
So again, for Thursday, it's meant to be a discussion about those kinds of things, but then also in the context of, like, I honestly don't know what the city councilors are going to talk about, but I'm sure they want people to come vote.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about a little bit more top down as to like the importance of voting, but we were even talking about before we started recording that we are in agreement that as our age and younger, a lot of us don't even understand what these individual roles are and like what the heck we're voting for. Like you said, like we might be choosing somebody that's running unopposed, but we may not even know what that person's even freaking doing. And like, just because they don't have anybody running against them, they must be doing a good job. So within the resources that you guys provide, like, is there ways that people can educate themselves as to like the different roles and responsibilities of these people, or like what the actual jobs themselves are?
Oghomwen, you want to take this?
So on the brochure that we have, on the resources that we have that, like what the jobs, like the specific roles of the individuals that are running. And as we get more candidates, the goal is that we're going to update the website, because it's just a link that goes to a website that gets updated often. So we're going to update that for the candidates and their policies. So we're not endorsing anyone. We're not saying vote for this person or vote for that person, but just making sure that you see your policies and see how that affects you, or see how that affects your community, or if that sort of like aligns with your values and what you want for your community. So yes, we do have that. And you'll be surprised as like the roles that are there that you didn't even like know about, like that. Oh, I can actually vote locally for this, because in like when I looked at the information, at first I was like, wait, I just thought these people were just chosen by the governor or chosen by the state. Like I didn't know like we have to vote them in, and yes, we do have to vote them in. So I think that's like something that I think people should go out there and like actually look at it and see that these are the roles that these people play in the community. This is how we put them in this position. And if you're running unopposed, like you ask the questions like, why they're running unopposed? Like, is it because they've been doing a great job for the long time that they've been in there, or is it just because no one in the community is standing up to them? And if you have the guts and you can run against them, who knows? Get involved. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's something that happened. I think in the 2018 midterms, like a lot of people ran for office that wouldn't normally do that. Like, granted, it was we heard more about, like maybe not like national level things that you can vote for, obviously, because it's midterms, but, there was a lot of discussion about people running for congressional rep positions and things like that. Like, I don't really think people really talked about races like that to the extent that they did in 2018. And I think that moving that momentum along to be able to have some interest in those types of races that are happening more locally would be great, because I think this was on, I think Oghomwen mentioned Michelle Obama's podcast, but like Barack Obama, her husband was her first guest, former president, whatever.
What a get.
Yeah, what a guest. And then he mentioned something about how like there's no jingle for politicians, like for not politicians, but like government roles. He's like, you can't market them. And so people don't really, I'm paraphrasing like horribly what he said, but like they don't, like people just don't know what they do. Like they don't, and it's not because they don't necessarily care. It's because like you can't market them. Like you can't market the register of probate. Like you can't market the governor's council. You can't market the sheriff. Like those, and all of these things, like Oghomwen was saying, like I also probably thought they were appointed. And I was like, oh, I've been voting these people in or just not voting at all,
Yeah, it's not like a sexy stat or anything. Like there's no. Sorry, the wind blew my notes right over the phone.
But even similarly, John Oliver did a great piece on attorneys generals, and I didn't understand all the stuff that attorneys generals were responsible.
Yeah.
I thought that too was an appointed role, and that's an elected position with a lot of power and a lot of authority over very specific things.
Yeah.
What also fascinated me was what we talked about right before this thing is that there's a lot more, because we are in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there are not the same voting rules nationally as we have here, meaning that there are more people eligible to vote in our Commonwealth than maybe national. You want to take us through some of that stuff?
Yeah, you want to, you can do it.
You telling me or Oghomwen?
No, or Oghomwen, whoever. Anyone can take it.
We talk plenty on this podcast. We prefer to hear your voice.
Okay.
Would you want us to talk about like individuals who can or cannot vote, or?
So like the thing that I found fascinating was you said that in Massachusetts, the only inmates, if you are currently incarcerated, you can't vote. But if you are done serving your time or potentially even non-trial, you're still eligible, correct?
Yes, I believe so. I would have to double check and be certain for sure, but yes, you can actually vote. And that's that one. And there's also the fact that people who think that they're homeless or because they live in shelters or they can't vote either because they don't have a home address. It's like you can still vote. You can go into the polls and say, I live in a shelter, but I don't have a permanent home. But I have this is my first and last name and actually cast a vote. And most of the time, I feel that people just feel that they're restricted within their SES, and as a result, that their vote doesn't count. I'm like no one. No one knows me. I don't have this resource. I don't have a house. I don't have a home. I don't have a job. Why would I go out there and go vote? And I can also see how that can be scary because you get there and you see that everyone there or most people there just have the things that you don't have, and and then you feel out of place, maybe I'm not supposed to be here, but it doesn't matter. Your vote counts. So as a U.S. citizen, you're over the age of, is it 16 now? I think it's 16 in Massachusetts. Is it 16 or 18?
I thought it was 18.
I think it's 18.
Yeah, 18. Over the age of 18, your vote counts. And it's just you go out there and and also I feel like in communities where it did not expose to information, the only thing they know is vice president and president election, and that's it. And that's because they're not exposed to information. So most of the legwork falls into organizations now in Worcester that are going to table out like WVRI, just throwing it out there, you guys. Central, I just said that Central also did like a tabling today. Was it today or yesterday? Like today?
Yeah, so Centro has tables outside of I think their food bank. That's at their, I think just like at their general building location on Sycamore Street. They have tables on Mondays and Wednesdays. They've been already having information available for the census. Cool. And then they also, Oghomwen like just dropped off the voter information brochures that we made in English and Spanish. And so
smart.
If you want them in like a hard copy version, there's 2 options right now. And I think African Community Education is going to take some too.
Yeah, they're going to take some too. And I just want to give a shout out to the BVRI because I didn't know they were doing this. I went to go drop off brochures. So you walk up to the table and you just fill out your information, and they're actually mailing your voters registration for you for free. Like,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
You have to just fill out a form and they mail it in for you, and you get your card at your house. Like, because most people are like, oh, I have to there's a pandemic and you don't want to go to the post office, or for some reason you don't want to go outside. like just find a table, find where the table and say, I really want to vote this year. And I don't know, because if you don't know that you have to go online, print out the form, if you don't have a printer, you're not going to go to Kinko's or go to FedEx and spend extra that you don't have right now in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you don't have, if you have a smartphone or you don't have a smartphone, you just don't want to do any of that. You'd rather look at, people are looking at TikToks and is that what you do these days? Yes. You just look at TikTok videos and don't think about trying to I need to find this, because you have to find the form. But with WVRI, they have the hard copies available. And that day when I was there, I saw a couple of people fill out the forms and they just mail it in, and then you get your voter's registration at your place. So, and I just feel it's just just doing the groundwork of getting the information to the communities out there and saying, this is what it is. Don't think that, I cannot vote as a result of X, Y, and Z, but actually looking and saying, wait, I can actually vote just because, if you're phone, you save time. Massachusetts has several different laws. You can actually vote locally. If you feel okay, I don't want to vote nationally, you can still vote. And there are also policies now. I know bills are going for people to say, okay, felons can still vote. People who have been incarcerated, they're trying to make sure that they can actually vote in other states, and just trying to change that law. They served their time. Yes, they did a crime. We're not praising that, but they served their time, so they should still have a say in where they stay, and the policies are going to affect them and their family members as well. Yeah.
If you want to check, because we don't have the information, and I don't want to spread fake news.
Yeah.
But if you want to check your status as to whether you can vote based off of, if you have been incarcerated, When We All Vote actually has a whole thing on this to make it easy for you to not only check your ability to vote, but then also register if you can. So it's whenweallvote.org/2chains. So 2 Chains did a video on it. It's actually in our highlight reel for the Worcester votes and then the 9-1 primary.
Yes.
Yeah, I love 2 Chains too. 2 Chains did a video specifically for When We All Vote, and he breaks it down for how your ability to vote is just determined mostly by state laws. And in most cases, you actually have probably more of an ability to vote than you think you do, even if you are a felon. Yeah. And so, for example, in Maine, you can vote no matter what. I think you can even vote in jail. And there's several states that you can vote while you're incarcerated, but Massachusetts is not one of them, unfortunately. But they have it all laid out over there. So you can check it out on our Instagram or the When We All Vote Instagram. And then you just do whenweallvote.org/2 chains with a Z.
Okay, so I just looked it up. That way we're not spreading fake news. And it's so I'm looking at blog.mass. blog.mass.gov, and it's just like Massachusetts laws. And I just Googled like can fellows vote in Massachusetts, and it says, reading verbatim, and this document was put in March 4th, 2016. It says in Massachusetts and some other states, the right to vote is temporarily suspended while a person is incarcerated for a felony offense. They may vote again after they're released from prison. So in some states, even people convicted of a misdemeanor cannot be incarcerated. But I'm just going to keep it back to the Massachusetts. So it says that you may vote again after they're released from prison. And there is, if people want to learn more, there is, let's see, let me get that. So if you go like mass.gov, let's see, and do like mass.gov/info/data/Massachusetts, it tells you like there's a compilation of like laws and regulation and cases and that people can actually look into and see if they're eligible for voting. But from that, it seems like once time has been set, people can actually vote. And most
you can actually, I can add that to the resource.
I will send that to you, and you can sort of put that out there. That way people can see it and say, okay, I need to like figure it out.
Policy in action. I love it.
Oh yeah. Have you guys? So you mentioned TikTok earlier. Have you guys heard of anything happening like through TikTok in terms of like kind of getting kids registered to vote?
No.
So I saw Snapchat has like a whole feature right now where you can like register to vote directly through Snapchat. You can do like a couple different things like in app, which I thought was super interesting.
You can do it on Instagram too.
Can you really?
Yeah, they have a little register thingy, and then Facebook does. I'm like, not cool. I don't TikTok. I literally use Snapchat as like a messaging platform. Like it's not even like I don't even post anything on it anymore. I just like text my friends on it. I don't know why.
But you have I don't even have it.
Like I have a couple of friends where I will simultaneously send them a DM on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and Snapchat Messenger. Also sometimes text them, but not about the same thing, like 4 different things. And on the fourth thing, I'm like, I'm sorry that I sent you so many different messages over so many different platforms. and I just don't even know why I do it, because I'm just like, I just need options.
Because you're there. No, I feel you. I have to go. Ricky and I have conversations on at least 4 different platforms, and there is information buried in each of the 4 different platforms. So like trying to figure out shit. Yeah, I gotta like go back and check 4 different things. Anyway. So I feel you. I don't know why we do it.
This morning, Monika sent us an email, and then she sent us something on the IG DM. I was like, wait.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
It's funny because I saw the email drop down and I was like, I got to check that. And then I think I was already on Instagram. And then I saw like the DM thing pop down and I was like, well, this just makes it way easier. Like I'm already here. Like
I know. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I love it. No, it's great. It works. That's pretty much how my mind works. Like send me the email because we have to do it that way. But also like, if you're on Instagram, just hit me with the DM. I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
It's probably before I check the email. So.
And then I called Monika. I was like, Monika, just give me a call.
Yeah. Then she texted me and then she called me and then texted me to call.
because I couldn't figure. I mean, it was just like so. I was like, wait, are we like? Is it the same kind of? Wait, are we on the same conversation? Like
I don't know. Yeah, no. It's like I think there's like you know like how I don't know if you guys have ever like driven around in Texas, but they've got like 5 to 6 lane highways down there. It's like that's what it's like in my brain.
Oh,
like,
I feel you.
This car, that, I don't know.
Are they at least all moving in the same direction in your brain?
No.
That's
bikes.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
That sounds like a pileup waiting to happen. All right. So not only are you guys now then doing the conversation with the Caribbean Club, we are also going to be hosting a conversation through Seltzer Time's channel where we're going to open it up and have an open dialogue with people from our community about voting and about registering. And hold on, we might want to take this out. Are we talking about this now or?
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, if we have listeners get to this point in the podcast, these are the people that we want to have, and they're not going to come bomb us. I'm serious. Because we're about an hour in.
Yeah, we're about 39 minutes in already, almost 40 minutes, about that. So
I know.
Yeah.
We can just like blabber on.
No, it's totally fine. It's just realizing that people's attention is what it is. All right. So on the 11th, nope, the 20th. The 11th is the other one. The 20th.
I think the 11th already happened, didn't it?
The 11th will be tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay.
The 11th is when the podcast is dropped. Anyway, none of this matters. Just say Smith or Jones or something. So on the 20th, we are going to have a Zoom talk where we'll send out some information the day of. Check all the accounts to learn more. But we are going to have a conversation about, does your vote count? And what does it mean to vote and that kind of deal.
Yeah.
What are we calling it?
I know.
Let's call it
voter cry.
Yes, but then it's like voters are gonna think, come on the Zoom call and cry.
I know. Because a voter died. I haven't thought about that since like 2004.
Right. Run away.
I like that we're like lounging in the grass with you. It's very intimate.
I have to. It's my only way of staying connected, but the sun is like in a weird spot where it's kind of like nonstop in the way of what I'm doing. There we go. But my arm was starting to hurt.
This is incredible.
This is incredible. When it comes to the like round table voter cry, I will be at a desk and not laying in my parents' backyard.
All right, we absolutely just named it voter cry. I like it.
Voter cry.
Is it vote or cry or voter cry?
Vote or cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So
I'm fine with it. I was just joking, but whatever.
No, I like it. I really do like it. And it already has that familiarity with people that
vote or cry.
I feel like it's also like a little bit less serious.
A little bit, yeah. People cry all the time and then they can come back from it. Once you die, that's pretty much it, I think.
There's plenty of times where I didn't vote and I did not die, like
these guys are phonies, liars.
Yeah. No, seriously. Like it's just like a little bit OTT. It's a lot.
It is kind of a lot.
Is that over the top?
Yes.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
I'm so out of the hip cool.
I'm also not cool either, so it's fine.
That's Ricky.
No, I'm back. So my phone was telling me it's at 20% battery.
Okay.
Well, then we could probably put this kind of at the close. So in closing and in some leaving thoughts, like what do you wish people did tomorrow? What do you wish people do in the next couple weeks? Like what are some action items for anybody that gives a shit about this stuff? What should they do?
Should I take that? Oh, Monika, do you want to take that? Okay. So we have brochures out there, and it's also on our Instagram, mascipolnetwork. Yes, and it's also been shared on Seltzer Time too as well. You just have to go through the brochures and like click on it and go there and just sort of educate yourself. If you feel like you don't want to go through the internet paths, try to find, you can go to Central. They table Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Mondays and Wednesdays. And they also have copies of our brochures in English and Spanish. And that's what we also have on the website. And just, I say educate yourself, read it, and come with questions for the Zoom call. If you're not still clear on what's going on, we'll be here and excited to make sure you don't cry, but that you go. So, and I feel like we should just all take it upon ourselves and say, like, I really want to learn about a candidate and what their policies are and what you're fighting for. Does it align with our values or does it align with your values? And just seeing how that can affect your community. And also knowing that your vote counts. It doesn't matter. I mean, we already did one of the debunking of the myth where it's like, yes, you can actually vote as far as you set time, so it does count. And and keep smiling in the midst of the pandemic. And hopefully it stays safe. and wearing a mask and social distancing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess maybe also think about what kept you from voting. If you've never voted before, or if you're someone like me who has only really voted in certain situations up until fairly recent, like 2018, I think was the first midterm I've ever voted in. I didn't vote in the primary because I thought that you had to be registered with a party. In Massachusetts, apparently you don't have to do that either. You can just, if you're an unenrolled, you can just take whatever ballot you want. But like, I think for me, I've sort of thought about, what was it that was keeping me from voting? And for me, at least, it was a lot of it had to do with, I don't know where to start. When, I don't know who, I don't know why, I don't know, why, what these people are doing. And so I feel more confident going to the polls now in a primary because I feel like I know a little bit more. I don't really think my opinions have changed that much in the sense of what I prefer to vote for, but I definitely think that trying to be more engaged in general, and I'm not saying you have to go and start a program with the government or, become best friends with your senator or something like that. But, just seeing what they're voting on, seeing what they're doing, maybe sometimes sending an email to be like, I support this, I don't support this. I think it kind of just makes you feel like you're part of the process more. And so you feel more compelled to vote. I feel more compelled to vote now than I did even a year ago or 2 years ago. And there's several situations where I've made fun of campaigns and stuff and then didn't vote. And then that person held office afterwards. And then I was like, I'm the problem, I didn't do it.
Oh no.
Well, but that's good self-awareness. I mean, truthfully, we all have done it where we've complained about something about the government or something about, but if we haven't gone out and voted, educated ourselves in the system and learned enough, Jesus Christ, I love it. learned about the most important stuff happening in our own communities, we don't get to bitch. If you don't put your actions behind your words, then shut the hell up.
Yeah, and there's a lot of community, there's a lot of different communities that tend to vote in larger amounts or smaller amounts. Like I'm Indian American. Apparently, Asian voters don't vote a lot, which is surprising to me because my parents vote pretty much all the time, and there have been times where my dad went to the polls and then would be like, I saw that only 2 people voted in this house in this election, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then whoever I didn't want to become.
Good on them. No, seriously, good on them. My parents have never brought up the electoral system to me or even given a shit about it. Good on your parents for raising somebody that's but that's you're now locally civically focused.
Yeah, and it's just, I thought every Indian family was like that. And then I started reading about demographic lack of participation. And apparently Asian Americans tend to not vote. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's just my dad. So which is good. I'm happy. I'm thankful that he did that. But, I am realizing over time that a lot of people just don't do that. What you're saying, your parents didn't do it. I don't think most people's parents do, because they leave it up to your individual choice, which is fair. But at the same time, we don't get civics education either in school, and that's also something the Worcester Voter Registration Initiative, or WVRI, is trying to do. They're putting together civics classes for middle schoolers and high schoolers so that they know more about the government and that they know more about what is going on. Because what I was saying before, I feel when you're a little bit more engaged and aware, you want to vote. You want to say something at the polls.
Yeah.
I learned more about civics from Schoolhouse Rocks than I did from my education system. I'm serious. I mean, I learned more about how the system works and how the houses are set up. And we probably learned about the president, the vice president, and the House of Representatives and the Congress, or that's the same thing, House of Representatives and the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
But down to like the state level minutia, probably not even, because again, even me describing it as minutia makes it sound boring and then nobody wants to learn about it. But it's all important shit.
Yeah. But, we're hoping that, people take a look or at least think about it. And I think even just starting to think about it is a good place to start.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Well, this has been fantastic. I'm now sniping a picture of Ricky because he looks like this fantastic album cover that I'm going to make later. But
it's great. I like the little cord in the background too.
Oh, that's my phone charger that I can't plug in anything out here or my phone's going to die.
It doesn't plug into the grass.
No.
Right. Well, I'm going to try one more time. Monika and Oghomwen.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was wonderful talking to both of you. Thank you so much for what you're doing for our local community and for educating people. And we'll see you guys in a week or so.
Yeah. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you for having us. We'll see you on Thursday.
Have a good rest of your week and enjoy the grass, Ricky.
I will.
All right. So I'm still laying over here in the grass after
You promised.
True.
No. I'm sorry. I was doing it for the bit.
I don't even know if I can keep talking like that, to be honest with you. So that was great. Those ladies are doing a really, really, really important service to the city and beyond. I was super pumped when they reached out to us. It's always fun to do different types of episodes and to do different, degrees of seriousness in terms of the episodes that we put out. This one tends to be way more serious than most of them. Voting is a really serious thing, both on a local and a national level. We've got a pretty huge election coming up later this year. But on top, before we get there, there's another episode. Wow. There's another, so, we got a local election. We got to participate in that. And then, kill it in the national election. And then next year, vote again in the local election. It's important. That way we don't run into issues like we have right now.
Seriously. I mean, and again, like we said in the interview, anybody that's complained about the current situation, if you didn't vote, you're part of the blame. And to just complain about it and not do anything about it is pointless. So we all, as Americans, we can participate and take part in our civic engagement and our election, and our elected officials are supposed to, they should fear us. They should fear the voters. We have their jobs in our hands and they should act like it, but they're not going to act like it until we act like it. And this is how we do it.
Exactly. Also, if you're going to vote by mail, which you definitely should, do it early because we all know that it's about to be a wild couple of months for the mail.
I mean, and I'm hoping we don't run into the same kind of shit that Belarus is running into, but you never freaking know. You never know. And we all got to do this shit right and get way ahead of it and to the way the law's written.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Real fast, Stokes and Pokes.
All right.
When you hit them with those stoves, ow! Gotta slap them with those pokes. Oh, yeah. Stokes and Pokes.
Oh, excuse me. All right, stoking and poking.
Cool.
I'm going to be super sensitive about this. I am rocking my powwow hat, and I am a fan of public art. I'm going to poke the Worcester Police Department mural that came out this week. Not to say that it was bad. I'm glad you guys chose to not go back to blue. You went literally for our own local law enforcement officers, and for that I appreciate. I feel like Worcester Police Department missed an opportunity to market this the way it didn't hit the way they thought it was going to hit. One, their photo that they released of the mural with the two artists standing in front of it. In this day and age, they had one black officer and the rest of a very white or lighter skin group. But there was also 16 officers or people in this photo, all not wearing masks. And it's like a double whammy at this point where it's just like, come on, guys. You tout that our our officers are more diverse? Was this the only officer you can get to stand in with a photo? Is this really the best time for this mural? Like the artists say, and the guy that raised the money says that it's not in response to the Black Lives Matter mural, but the timing of it kind of is. And is this really the best use of our community's assets? Because these are people from the community that donated their money, which I'm not to say that the police shouldn't be protected or shouldn't be supported. Like, we want to support them in their roles, and we want to have them do the job that they signed up to do. But at this time, read the room. Like, I don't know. I feel like it could have been done differently.
Yeah, I mean, so like the person who raised the funds saying that it's not in direct response to the Black Lives Matter mural is straight up full of shit. The same way people say that Blue Lives Matter is not a direct response to Black Lives Matter. They're also full of shit. It didn't exist before the other one did. I mean, if you're gonna do that, like, do it. But I don't know, maybe just try to get a little creative and stop trying to just do a very easy response to something that is not even anti-you. Like, there's nothing anti-police about saying Black Lives Matter. It's pretty much just a universal truth. But we live in a weird time. It's a very strange time. I mean, hey, sick mural, I guess. Where is it? It's in the police station parking lot, but like I don't even know where in the
right
parking
in front
lot.
of their, it's like right in front of their the main building down on Major Taylor Boulevard. So truthfully, it's maybe less than a mile from the other one.
Oh yeah.
So I hope it stays nice. It's their emblem. It wasn't Back the Blue. It wasn't Blue Lives Matter. So I give them credit for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At any other point in time, having their emblem painted on their front of their sidewalk, one, would make sense. Two, wouldn't be an issue. It's not a political issue. It's just the timing of it makes it slightly unsavory. All right. That's probably enough on that.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I am stoked on a new video game that just released. I got grounded with my brother over the weekend because that's the name of the video game. It's called Grounded. It was released to Windows and Xbox One as early access at the end of July. And it's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets Raft, or Fortnite for those kind of that understand that building mechanic. It's a survival style game where you are a group of 4 people in your own front yard, it looks like, and you get shrunk down to like tiny versions, and you have to kill gnats and ants for materials, and like you you build a fort out of like blades of grass, and it's super, super cool. It's basically for any of us like 90s nostalgia fans, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but you get to like control it, and it's open world.
I'm kind of like living that life right now where I'm in the backyard, but I could build a fort out of grass.
I would love to see you try. So yeah, I would have, my God, you inviting me over your tree fort? Let's do it. It's a fun game for anybody that likes that style of video game. It's on Game Pass right now. Check it out. And it's super fun. And it's awesome that I can play with my brother who's in California right now.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's what I got. What you got, homie?
Cool. Okay, so my poke is the entire United States government really dropping the ball with the unemployment, everything. It's been a complete nightmare. It was a nightmare for people who had to sign up for unemployment. It was saver $6 a week. When that's going away, or if it's going away, turns out it did. Duh. Now there's like a bunch of talks of what could happen in the future, like a $400 thing or a $200 thing. And instead of just doing it to keep people from losing their homes and being able to eat dinner and pay their bills, so that way, the chain of command, I guess, in terms of where the money goes, doesn't screw up everybody's lives. yeah, the government is making it extremely hard for people right now, which is not surprising. So I'm gonna poke that.
Yeah.
I actually have 2 pokes. My second poke is fuck that school that fucking expelled that girl who posted the picture, who then
They
later the
expelled
school
her?
had people with COVID cases pop up. Yeah, she got or suspended or whatever.
I know she got
From
suspended.
school for posting. So, yeah, suspended. My bad. I don't think she got expelled. That was my bad. But
No, it's all good.
yeah, pretty much every school that has gone back has had to close down already. This isn't rocket science. It's the same. We've been dealing with this since March. Like, I don't know what it's going to take for people to take it seriously, but because clearly being on fucking lockdown for 3 months wasn't enough. So,
somebody on the internet posted it wonderfully that we had the opportunity to be heroes by being lazy on our couches and not going outside, and we couldn't even do that right.
yeah, nailed it. That sounds all right. Yeah. So my stoke though is okay. So no matter how you feel about Amazon, I know Amazon's like a real hot button issue always, but I saw a Mass Live article I think this morning or yesterday. I think it was this morning that Amazon is in talks with Simon Malls to use the old Sears and J.C. Penney locations and turn them into fulfillment centers, which, like, again, no matter how you feel about Amazon, Amazon runs the world in terms of like most things, especially when you order things. Malls are going out of business no matter how hard people want to fight the fact that brick and mortar is dead. Brick and mortar is dead unless you turn it into an experience. There's all these malls all over the country where these huge big box stores are going out of business, which then leaves like a quarter of the mall completely empty. Amazon buying those and turning them into fulfillment centers is awesome. You're not building a new building. You don't have to do anything except use a space that's already been created for something that's not going to go away. Amazon's only going to get bigger. They're not going to shrink. They're not going to go out of business. Like, Amazon's here forever. Yet using spaces that are already there is huge. You're not, taking more land. You're not putting other businesses out of business. I guess like Amazon technically did put JCPenney and Sears out of business, but like, whatever. There's not much you can do about that. I just think it's a great idea. I think it's a super creative way to use these gigantic spaces that are all over the country.
So I like that these spaces are being used, that they're not just going derelict. There was a study a couple of years back of somebody looking in the malls about building a new style of community where it'd be low-income housing based out of a mall's footprint, using stuff like the food court as potential areas for developing community. Interesting concepts. These buildings are like I said, they're in all of our states, and they're kind of becoming empty. I mean, think of Greendale. Yeah. But I don't love that Amazon is the one to do it. Like, I think we as the United States need to, there's a lot that's coming out about their workforce and how poorly they're treated. And if they're going to continue to grow and be the service provider that we all rely on, they need to shape up the way they treat their workers. They need to shape up the way they pay fucking taxes.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that, by the way.
And that's what I'm saying. We're not saying that you're in agreement with all their corporate policies. The fact that these spaces are getting used intelligently and by thriving companies is the thing to be stoked about.
Yeah.
And it's like, how else can we use these spaces, like the identify spaces even in our own community, like potentially underneath the Hanover Theater where there could be a cool venue? How the fuck do we get these things funded, operational, safe, and cool again?
Yeah, I mean, if it was that to me, like the idea of instead of building another spot like the Worcester Public Market on the north side, the idea of taking what is the Greendale Mall, which already exists and is already built out, how do you not turn that into the north side's Worcester Public Market, where you put something? I mean, I don't know what you could have put an indoor skate park where Best Buy was, and then you take all these, you put a Worcester Wares or a, like something like that there's a million storefronts in there. It doesn't have to be national, like
Brands,
chains. It,
yeah.
it could be a small time like or a small market little spot. It would have been really cool. I don't know how feasible that is. I mean, obviously it's not feasible at the moment, but.
And again, all the malls are set up like those companies have to pay ridiculous rents to the malls.
Yes.
And then just to be in the mall, then you have to agree to be open every time the mall is. So like that whole business needs to get turned on its head, kind of like the music industry where we have this new internet-based version that's doing better, that's more tailored to the user. How do you take what's already there, turn it on its head and make it viable?
Yeah.
Great questions.
Crazy.
So if you have the answers, send it to us on a 3x5 card and we'll give you a koozie and we'll follow the credit, I guess. I don't fucking know.
It's true. If you have a lot of money and you want to buy a mall with us, let us know.
Yo, Seltzer Time Mall, all we want is naming rights. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want with it.
It would be like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory.
Can you fucking imagine?
Yeah, dude, the content would be so sick.
Yo, let's get Joe to back us.
Done.
Awesome. Well, until then,
Cool.
Find us on seltzertime.com or you can find me on the internet at Hunchback Travis.
Wait, are you done? Sorry, I lost you for a second, and then you were talking, and then you were just sitting there, so I wasn't sure if you had talked in between.
Oh my God, this is a funny fucking episode. Technology. Guys, we'll promise to make the next one better. Ricky will have internet by next week.
Yeah, I should hopefully have internet by tonight. That's the goal, because this is not ideal. But hey, whatever, man. Could be worse, I guess.
It could be worse. Ricky, where can they find you on the internet?
Yo, y'all can find me at DickChoke77, Seltzer Time Official. You guys should get out there, register to vote. You can do it on Snapchat. I'm trying to think of what else there is.
Instagram, Facebook. Join us on the 20th.
Facebook. 2 Chainz is down. Join us on the 20th. Maybe I'll DM 2 Chainz to see if he wants to jump on our Zoom. Hey, you never know.
You never know.
Oh, shout out to the lady. So yesterday we were walking in. What the hell were we walking in? I don't know. We were walking in somewhere. And this lady, as the door opened, she was like, I have my Seltzer Time shirt on. She was like, I like your shirt. It's always Seltzer Time. And she kept going. And I was like, I love the fact that woman has no idea what this is about. She just like loves seltzer. And B, the shirts are dope as fuck.
Hey, thanks, man. Thank you all for getting one. New stuff coming soon.
I will fit in your kids for back to school, but as long as it's virtually.